And
Yeah.
but yeah, they mentioned something that you were curious about. Am I
What?
boring you, Terry?
Just a little, but it's all right. Me caen bien gordas ustedes. Welcome to yet another Drag Race review podcast. I'm your host, Terry Blas.
Y yo soy José Francisco Morales de la Cruz. Pendeja.
And this is TheJWord, your home for all things Drag Race Mexico. I figure that since you just introduced yourself that way, the first thing we should talk about in housekeeping, since this is not housekeeping is not just drag related, it's anything Mexican culture related, right? That's your little like. So why
But
did you introduce yourself that way?
I feel like it has a specific gay Latino context. So it's like,
and
yes, there's
right,
something gay about it. I was gonna say that I'm wearing blue to the explaining Chucho's look, which is very simple.
But I'm the first explaining Chucho's look segment.
I'm wearing blue because of Blue Beetle, and I'm wearing my retard shirt because of Retil. So I'm repping for our Latino superheroes today.
Cute.
Yes,
I love it.
So yeah, I just introduced myself like Harvey Guillen's big moment in Blue Beetle, which I saw last night. And before I talk about Blue Beetle, I get a little bit thirsty, so let me just take a sip.
Well, girl, I like
drink.
popcorn, so
yes. So anyway, yeah. Let's talk about Blue Beetle. I mean, what's there to say? It's pretty great, and it's
we've mentioned
way too Mexican.
Yeah, we mentioned. I mean, not in a bad way, in a wonderful way.
No. Yeah.
But we mentioned before that the anime is Mexican, and if you don't think that's true,
girl,
just look at his like they talk. Shola Maridueña and the director talked about how like they needed to give him this like Final Fantasy sword because it's such a huge influence in like Mexican culture and anime.
And also, he literally does a kamehameha, like at some point. So it's like, girl, so Mexican, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. You have a great review on Letterboxd that people should check out. I feel like you name checked me almost kind of in there a little bit. Yeah. I did say that I was disappointed that the box office isn't bigger, and the only thing I'm disappointed, you told me not to worry about that, but the only thing that, or the only reason I'm disappointed by that is because I feel like that means that we potentially might not get more movies like that, and that kind of sucks. But
somebody actually on Letterboxd said like the sad thing about its failure, it's that it's not going to be, the fault is not going to fall on superhero movies, but on Mexican stories. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's terrible, but it's true.
I loved that it was full of references to Mexican things. God,
so many.
I loved that probably my favorite thing was like all of the references to Maria la del Barrio. I thought was amazing, and that they were like, oh my gosh, but you're like Maria, and like she's like the rich guy. Like that's so good.
So that was one of my favorite things, is that I was telling a friend like, oh, everything that was culturally specific wasn't just an Easter egg. It wasn't just like, oh, look, here's a little wink to Mexican stuff. No. Mm-hmm. It was so much part of the story. Like somebody, obviously, the comparisons with Black Panther are I think that are accurate in this case, because it's like Black Panther is not like, oh, here's a tiny little black reference, here and there. Like, no. It's such a black story that there's no way of telling it otherwise. And for me, like, there's no way of telling Blue Beetle if you don't have like the immigrant family and like all these issues with being documented, and like with getting a job to support your family, and like losing your house, and like all of these things, and this idea of like you said, like it's not just a throwaway joke of Maria del Barrio. No. It's like, this is your story. Like, you are the Maria of your own story. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just happens that you're the guy in this case.
There is another movie.
Yes.
That released a trailer.
Yes. But yes, let's talk about Cassandro. So we'll just move right to the okay. So Cassandro, I don't know if you know like the person Cassandro, but Cassandro is an exótico. The Exóticos are these luchadores, you know, from Lucha Libre in Mexico that happen to be like very flamboyant, very gay. I feel like not every single one of them is gay. Some of them might be playing a character, but most of them are gay in real life. And so, you know how Mexican culture is. They're supposed to be like the clowns. They're supposed to be very
Yeah.
funny, very comedic. But the wonderful thing about it is that because most of them, if not all of them, are gay, they are not like somebody's not like making fun of the fact that they're flamboyant. They're just like taking their fabulousness and being like, okay, let's not just laugh at me, but like let's laugh together. And they're kind of like the heroes of the specific fight they are in, but like while being like fabulous, you know. So it's kind of like a thing of like, yes, we're clowns, but we're also like nobody's like making fun of us. You know what I mean? Like we're making fun of ourselves. So it's kind of empowering in a way. But anyway, they we have a short documentary, we have a feature documentary about Cassandro's life, and now they're making a narrative movie, and Cassandro is being played by Gael Garcia. And there's been some complaints, obviously, as always, about this idea of like only queer actors being able to play queer characters. And I wanted to take this opportunity because I have actually never said anything publicly, like on Twitter or anything about this. I've talked about obviously trans actors playing trans characters because that's I feel like that's a little bit more, cut clear, you know, clear cut. But with queer actors, I want to say this: uh, it's not that we have to 100% be like, okay, you cannot play this character if you are not queer. What we are trying, what the kind of like the movement started out as, and then obviously everybody took their own interpretation, was that there were no equal opportunities for queer actors as they are for straight actors. And what happens often is that straight actors are seen as brave and courageous and like so
Right.
chameleonic and so talented for playing somebody gay or somebody queer. And it's like when somebody queer is playing queer, you don't say the same thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
And so it's kind of like it's more about equality more than not you and just you, you know? And so my personal opinion as someone who has worked with straight actors playing queer characters and with queer actors playing queer characters is that yes, I wish we lived in a world where everybody got an equal opportunity, but right now in this very specific moment of time that we live in, that's not the case. So I feel like there has to be a very deliberate push for queer actors to play more queer characters, and then maybe at some point in the future, things will be a little bit more equal. In this case, I do love Gael Garcia. I think he's a fantastic actor. I'm gonna watch the movie. The director and co-screenwriter, he's gay, so I feel like we are in good hands. The cast is stacked. Like we have Raúl Castillo, who's another straight actor that we love seeing playing gay characters. And we also have Bad Bunny, who is like, you know, controversial. That's all I'm going to say. And we also love him. And we have, this is very exciting, we have Perla de la Rosa. Now, when the mom came on the trailer, I was like, who's that? Like, I don't remember, like, I don't remember the face. And then when I saw the credits, I was like, oh my God, that's Perla de la Rosa. That's Ariel Award winner, Perla de la Rosa. Perla de la Rosa plays the mom in Julián Hernández, Mil Nubes de Paz. And so it's like, she's part of like queer cinema, Mexican queer cinema history, but like not a lot of people, if anyone, knows her by name because like her filmography is not, you know, very vast. Like she has only made a few movies in the last 3 years. So the fact that they cast her and they were like yes, we're gonna give you this big role in an American production is like pretty exciting. So I am excited for this movie. If you didn't realize that by now.
No. Plot twist. Well, that's great. I think the trailer looks really cool. I'm excited to watch it. A couple things that I wanted to just mention briefly. In the last episode, the previous episode to this one, I mentioned that Margaret was in LA and she went to like this K-pop store, right? But now we have more information as to what she was doing there. And she released photos on her Instagram and her Instagram story that she went to an event called KCON 2023 in LA, which is, a K-pop convention event, whatever, with a concert attached to it. She posted some photos and whatnot, but I wanted to mention this because obviously I love K-pop, but more also because when they announced that there was going to be like a K-pop pop-up shop here in Portland one weekend, and I went to it, I was standing in line waiting to like get in, and I realized that in the line, half the people there were Asian and the other half were Mexican. So like it seems to me that there's like a big Mexican fan base for K-pop, and I thought that was kind of cool. So if you are, an hermana mexicana and you love K-pop, in the comments, let me know what groups I should be listening to or what groups you love, because obviously it's, there's a big connection there, just like anime.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to mention was in our previous episode, Mi Chile Lupe, you went off about how nobody dressed up as a green chile, nobody, right? And on Drag Race Philippines this past week, one of my favorite contestants, Miss Jade So, I think the runway theme was like basically food, like food related, right? And she came out not dressed as a chile, but like in this white and black whatever outfit with a humongous green chile on her head. And I was so excited to see this and tell you about it. So I just had to mention it because there's your green chile, but not on Drag Race Mexico.
I mean, we're distant cousins, Filipinos and Mexicans, so whatever. Actually, a couple of days ago, in our last episode, Anto Blue 83, shout out to him, he mentioned that that apparently the runway theme was a spicy red. I don't know, like I can't remember like exactly.
I didn't hear them say red anywhere.
But like that, maybe that is that is like one of those occasions that we have talked about of the prompt changing from the mail that they get when they get it on Drag Race to the actual runway, and maybe the prompt was spicy red or like something like
and
that.
And then they just changed it to picante or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, good to know. This one's like a real quick hit and miss, but there's a meme that's been going around all over the internet of Selena Gomez wrapped up in this blanket. And I wanted to mention it because I'm sure people have seen it by now, but just because it's like the meme is essentially like mentioning anytime you do anything remotely, maybe kind of somewhat slightly tangentially related to Latino culture. And like I just think it's hilarious and it's wonderful, whatever. Because what did you want to mention?
Yes, so very quickly, I say that every time. Very quickly, there's something about Drag Race curses that we have seen.
Curse first.
We have seen over the years. I've heard of other different curses, but apparently these two specifically have been confirmed lately. And in the last few seasons, that if you win the Rusical episode in your season, or if you win the Makeover episode in your season, or both, you are not going to win the season. So what happened was,
I think the curse is about to be broken, girl.
We don't know that. But the thing is that so the 3 seasons have confirmed it so far this year, which were season 15, because Anitra won the Rusical and the Makeover and was runner-up. And All Stars 8, Candy won the Rusical and the Makeover and was runner-up. And then on Drag Race France,
which I don't watch,
whatever, but well, the last lip sync for the crown was KCON.
I saw that.
I watched it on Twitter and it was like, oh my God, I'm not going to watch this season, but this is incredible. Somebody called Mami Wara, which I guess it's kind of one of the fan favorites I've read on Twitter, won the Makeover and then was eliminated in the finale. But the eventual winner, spoilers for Drag Race France, Keyona, did win the Rusical and then went on to win the season. So
okay,
that
so curse is
has
starting to
been
be
kind
broken.
of like, yes. So we don't know because guess who won the Rusical and, as we're going to see now, the makeover, Cristian Peralta, transformista oficial, padre de familia. Serpiente plumada.
Serpiente plumada.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, curse breaker.
Directora.
And curse breaker.
Yeah, curse breaker.
Let's see what happens.
Add that to the name.
Let's see what happens. We don't know.
Girl. Well, let's get into it and see what happens in this
Yes.
episode. This week's mirror message is from our dearly departed. She's not dead, but she just left the workroom. Nuestro Lady Quero. It says, Mi top cuatro. Les amo con toda el alma. Rómpanla. Atentamente. Is that right? Atentamente? Yeah. Lady Quero, su milanesa empanizada. The queens don't, well, they like, react to this and like, oh, nuestra milanesa, whatever, it's sweet. But the queens don't kind of know, I think, what to make of what's happening because they don't really know if is that the semifinal? Is this the semifinal? Like Gala says,
we don't know either, girls.
Yeah. Gala says like, I only need to eliminate one more to be a finalist. Yeah, right, girl. We'll see. But that's sort of like the little intro to the episode, and we switch to what kind of day in the workroom? A new one. The queens enter the workroom. And Matraca does something that I think she's done before on this in the series in the season, but I don't understand it. I don't know what the quote means, where it's from, why she's talking this way. But she says she doesn't just say this; she says it like this. She says, "Tengo ganas de aventar a alguien por las escaleras." I don't know what it means, but she's also wearing the earrings that she forgot to put on last week.
So do you want me to tell you what it means?
Yes.
I mean, she's saying like she feels like
pushing someone down the stairs.
But it is from the telenovela challenge. It was
one of the
quotes. It was one of the quotes. It was like because they're there to like it's rehab basically for them. So I can't remember exactly who. I feel like it was Cristian or somebody like that. That they were like,
solo por hoy reprimiré mis intensas ganas de aventar a alguien por las escaleras.
If I'm being honest, that challenge kind of, whatever. Lolita's video message pops up. It's kind of gross. It's like it's so gross that they like end up calling her a cochina.
And they say like it rubbed off on her, like we are a bad influence on her.
Yeah, which is funny considering all of these were filmed before
exactly. So she mentions hermanas de leche or hermanos de leche if you want, and so gross. They mention it again later on, and because they mention on the wrong way, like, oh, they're sisters, but they're like milk sisters. Is that how they subtitled it?
I don't remember how they subtitled it. So I'll have to go back and look.
Does that term exist?
No, like
okay. Do you know what that means?
So let me venture a guess.
Okay, please do.
Hermanas de leche to me, I think means like sisters from the womb. Like we were, like we like sisters. I don't know how to put it, but like siblings almost, okay. Right?
Okay.
Because like maybe they like breastfed together. I don't know.
So yes, the origin. Okay.
But leche also means something else.
Okay, so
Spanish. So
yes, in Mexican Spanish also.
Yes.
So well, no, actually, it means in every Spanish. But so yes, the origin is I'm pretty sure that is that is like some babies were breastfed by the same woman, but not all the time they were like siblings, because there were some women who were specialized in nursing other babies from other women, and in the past. And so I feel like that is where the term comes from, but it's actually something that it originated a lot more on like straight men, which kind of makes it gross, but not in a fabulous way, but just gross. Which is like, obviously like two men who messed around and had something with the same woman. They become hermanos de leche. And that is, because of the boobs and whatever. But then when the gays say it,
Right.
when
This
the
is where it
gays
gets-
say like we are hermanas de leche, then that becomes something else. When two gays are like, we messed around with the same guy, and so we are milk sisters.
If you want to translate it that way.
Yes.
Well, Lolita walks in, and when she walks in, the queens exclaim, "Mi chicle, Lupe!" So it's a running thing now.
Yes.
This week there's no mini reto. They get like right to it. Valentin, not Valentina, walks into the workroom with some what she calls fans de Drag Race.
Yes.
These are men, 4 men, wearing sashes that say Mexico, Colombia, Chile, and Venezuela.
So can I say something controversial yet brave?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the thing. I said it, I feel like several episodes ago, that whoever is producing this show, I'm not talking about Wow Presents or the showrunner that came later on, from Spain, from Drag Race España, but like the people who actually put the whole thing together. I feel like, I don't know if they're gay, I don't know if they're not, and but I don't know if the producing team is fan of Drag Race. Like if they know how Drag Race works. I feel like that what they did was like take the format of the show and obviously whatever Wow Presents told them, like, oh, this is how it should work, and then they kind of did their own thing, because many things feel like, oh, this is supposed to be Drag Race, but that's not the point of this, or that's not the point of that, or that's not what this means. And in this case, just bringing in 4 hot gay men from different countries and be like, make them over, doesn't make any sense to me in the Drag Race realm of things. Because usually makeovers in Drag Race have a very specific theme. And
teachers,
it's
or guys from the military, or etc.
athletes, fans, but like fans that don't usually get the spotlight, like the women on season 12.
What was in season 15, like lesbians?
Yes, exactly. Or like not so feminine women, or like for example,
because Drag Race.
Remember my favorite ones. Remember the queer immigrants on Canada's Drag Race? Like that was fucking beautiful. So, something like that, something that has a certain meaning to it. But to walk in 4 already hot, already gay, already out fans of Drag Race and be like, transform these pretty men into pretty women, it's just like, why? You know what I mean?
I feel like, how do I put this? Did they try to come up with some sort of like not theme, but like thing where they were like, oh, okay, but let's do like beauty queens because they're all from different countries. Like they
you can do that with any kind of yes, like they didn't have to be pretty.
But I also feel like since they filmed this in Colombia, they probably were like, okay, casting call, are there any men from Mexico here? Are there any gay men from Venezuela living here? Are there any Latin countries?
I was gonna say that if you go to, because we're gay, so we all went to the Instagram to find these guys. And if you go to their Instagrams, they're actors, art directors, models. Like it's like, yes, like Nebraska was like a cute guy, but he was in fact in the military. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like you have to like at least find something that has a meaning to it.
I'll say this. I do like this season of Drag Race.
Yeah.
But I hope that the next season of Drag Race Mexico improves upon this season in the way that like season 1 of Drag Race then went to season 2, and you could see this increase in budget and like creative, I think, what word am I looking for? I guess creative production, I don't know. But yeah, to like give it a little bit more attention and time and care. Like, you know, this to me did feel like, hey, are there any gay guys from other countries? Let us know. And that was a little whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Anyway, so they tell them that the Masireto is going to be making them over. And because Cristian won last week and every other effing week of this show,
We're gonna talk about that.
she gets to choose first. Not as like, I'm going to choose this one, but she has to like pick a name out of a bag, right? So they all pick a card and then they reveal them. Cristian gets Miss Chile, who is a macho man with a beard.
Oh, okay. So okay. So he leans very heavily on the
On his masculinity
of the beard. Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. We'll get there. But when they choose him, they do say something that, why am I not producing this show? Because they all say, well, not they all, but one of them says, I need Chile Lupe, which is what we called
I know.
the previous episode.
I know.
Gala gets Miss Venezuela, who ends up, in my opinion, even before the runway, being the real winner of the season. Regina gets Miss Mexico, which is a handsome man with like braces, I guess.
Yes.
And like stubble. And Madame Traca, which is what they call her, gets Miss Colombia, who is this long-haired androgynous beauty, right? Yeah. So they then pair up. We then get segments with each of them. So we're going to go through real quick and kind of talk about what happens here with when they pair up. First up is Cristian and Miss Chile. Cristian says that he doesn't look like her, that Miss Chile doesn't look like her, and says that she herself, this, I don't understand this, has a very Korean face.
Can you tell me how they subtitle that?
She says like a Korean girl.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think, I'm pretty sure, but
I would have said Korean. I would have said little Korean girl, but sure. So, Carita Niña Coreana.
Is that something that you guys say there?
What do you mean, you guys?
You guys, all y'all,
you Mexican J words,
all y'all in Mexico. Do you say that? It sounds a little.
No, because it's positive. Because it just means like, you know,
or is it like a fetishization?
Oh, because it's a gay thing. It's like your face is like so. Your face is so supple and so like
often
and so clear and so pretty that it's like a Korean girl, you know, the skin
okay.
and the face.
If
you go on TikTok, you're gonna find that.
And like very clear and light skin.
Yes, exactly that.
This guy does not want to shave his beard. He says he can't for work. I think this is a lie.
When he says that, it's like, what is your work exactly? Like, because at first I was like, oh, so he must be an actor. He must be in continuity. Like that happens, you know, like when you're like shooting something and it's like you have a break and you cannot change anything in your face. But then when I went on his Instagram, it's like, no, honey, you're not an actor. You're an art director. So tell me again, how does your beard help you when you're art directing?
I mean, he shaved his chest later. So it's not like he's some actor in a shirtless scene that needs. No, this is a lie, and I will get into it later. But he later says it's not about holding on to his masculinity, but it 100% is. He feels like listen. When I did, I don't have a big beard, right? But when I did drag, I shaved, and guess what? I dealt with the fact that I felt like a chubby baby for like a month afterwards because my hair didn't grow back. So we go to Regina and Miss Mexico, and Regina asks Miss Mexico about, do you want to shave your beard? And what does Miss Mexico say to him?
I like to keep it on, please.
So give me a break. This girl's seen Drag Race.
Yes.
She suggests doing something very Mexican in terms of like a red, white, and green, like for the dresses or whatever. And the Regina's like, well, let's not be so literal, okay? Great. This to me screams of, I brought a black shiny dress. That's what I'm gonna wear, honey. And maybe we'll do some like flowers in the hair. Fine. Matraca and Miss Colombia, Miss Colombia is an actor who, like, they say this guy's name. They say his name is Christian Duque. I don't know. I looked him up. He's done a few series. Great. It says he's never walked in heels, but that he's dedicated, and you can tell that he's excited to be there. So that's nice.
To raise his booking fee.
Right. Then Galavaro has Miss Venezuela, and this one has walked in. Well, here's what I find funny. Oh, I have maybe like a once or twice, like at a party with friends. This is someone who was like in their bedroom, like pretending they were Naomi Campbell. Okay, like when you see him walk, like a duck to water. Gala already has a name figured out, which I think is hideous. He says that because he's Galavaro, Gala being the wife of Salvador Dali, and Varo for Remedios Varo, he was thinking Remedios Dali. That's terrible. Immediately,
I love the reaction because he said, Gala goes like, "Do you like it?" And Miss Venezuela goes like, "Yeah."
Okay.
And then we're gonna see that later on she comes out on the runway with a different name, and I go like, "You hated that."
Well, when I heard that, I was like, "This is drag, bitch. How are you not Dali Varo? Like, I just don't get it. Like, you know, you're so not that everybody who goes on Drag Race and does a makeover has to have like the same last name.
But they did that. They put an emphasis on that when they were introducing them because they were like,
yes,
you're gonna be from the house Battle, from the house Peralta, from the house Boche.
Yes, but like Dali having such a similar, you know, it sounds like Dolly.
Yeah.
So that's to me better and more feminine than like Remedios. Cristian and her queen, her baby, walk up and they make a reference to Conchita Wurst. And they ask this queen if he's going to shave. And he's like, we don't all have to be the same.
So that's
it's
the
such
thing.
a rehearsed...
That's the thing. Like, if you don't want to shave the beard, okay, fine. And if you want to make up something up, sure. But it's like a stick to one version. You know what I mean? A stick to one
what happened to I would, but I can't because of work.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
I work as a beard model.
Which one is it, girl? Okay.
What's the tea, Christine?
Which one? Let me see some of that. They reveal his name is going to be Gabby Peralta. What do you think of that?
Beers, yes.
How do you say bearded? You got to add that in there.
It's Gabriela Peralta, transformista oficial, modelo de barba.
Yeah, there you go. Matraca comes up. Her queen is already in a wig. Valentina and Lolita are like, well, you're done because her face is so beautiful, right? They reveal her name, which I think is genius, to be Maraca.
Yes, I fucking love it. Yes.
So perfect. I feel very vindicated here, Chucho, because for the past several weeks, I have been pointing out that Lolita has a funny lumberjack walk, and you're like, what? No, what? Lolita herself says she walks like me because she has a really funny, weird walk. And Oscar keeps pointing it out to me.
Okay, so her acknowledging her walk, I was like, oh, okay, that's funny, that's great. Terry's gonna love that. The moment she goes like, oh, Oscar is always correcting me, I'm like, no, stay away from her. Get a job. Stay away from her. Anyway.
Next up, we get Galavaro and Miss Venezuela. They show Valentina and Lolita her walk, and give me a break. We're all like, okay, yeah. I think that this, I don't know, what do you call it? Contestant, person, baby queen. I find this one to be the most attractive. I don't know why. Valentina says that she loves Venezuelan queens, and I thought this was kind of sweet because he then said, "Yeah, we love you too, and we love you." It's like that's like such a fan moment. Like it's kind of sweet, right? But they don't reveal her name. Like you get a sense that like, okay, this is a work in progress. You know, we're figuring it out. Then we get Regina, and her queen. When they walk up, I think it's Valentina. I don't know if it's Lolita, but one of them's like, "Ooh, cuerpazo," because she's like very, very padded, right? They say that they want to show like true Mexican, not true Mexican beauty, but true Mexican like beauty queen, right?
Regina is kind of. I feel like Matraca's comments and the couple of times that they've been happening about Matraca being like not real Mexican, but like maybe a different kind of Mexican than the rest, have rubbed Regina the wrong way because she makes a point to say like Regina Boche is a very Mexican queen. I feel like I'm a very
but
Mexican
that I think is our whole point, right? Is that like being a Mexican queen, it doesn't just mean one thing. It doesn't mean like it doesn't mean that, oh well, I'm more Mexican than of a more Mexican queen than you are because my skin is darker, or I'm like that's the whole point of this podcast, is that we all have different experiences. Girl, you don't like spicy food. I'll eat it until I die. You know what I mean? Like,
and I might die if I eat it.
Right. So like there's just different things that like different things that make us who we are, and doesn't mean that we're any more any less. I don't do the more or less Mexican. Like I don't do that. I don't, whatever. They ask this guy who I guess his name is Jorge, they ask him if he sings, and he says no, but it sounds better in Spanish, but the best I could translate it was that he has other talents with his mouth. That takes us to the elimination day. Ooh, let's see. Well, Gabby, our Miss Gabby with the beard, is nervous. Maraca says that this is like her dream to be there. It's really sweet. I thought it was really kind of cute. I love when they have fans of the thing I don't like in a makeover episode is when they have people who are familiar with the show, they're fans of Drag Race, but then when they get there, they're like, oh, but no, I don't want to wear that. Oh, no, I'm not. I don't want to shave my beard. No, it's like,
Tamer,
have you watched the show? If I were selected, whatever, to be one of these people, even if I got somebody, no, never. But if I got, if I was, let's say I was assigned someone like Jimbo or Trixie, right? I'd be like, okay, I'm not gonna look like the telenovela beauty that I had in my mind. I'm here for this person.
Yes.
Do whatever you want, short of stabbing me. Let's go. Like shave my face, whatever. Like the only thing I would probably be like is like, no, can you just cover my eyebrows? I barely have any. Okay, so like that might be the only thing, but like I don't know. Like I love when someone's like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Do whatever you need. So it was nice to sort of hear Maraca say this is her dream. She's really excited about it. They start makeup. They start doing Lion King, which is what I call it, when they start talking about, serious stuff, but their makeup isn't blended. But Galavaro interrupts this first with her class on tucking. Because
apparently she's the tucking expert.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is like for someone who does not,
who is like literally her thing, like I don't tuck.
The thing I want to mention about this whole, there's two things that I want to mention about this whole section. The first is that she has like a whiteboard. She is drawing on there. This is more of a visual and vocal explanation of tucking than we've ever had on Drag Race.
Yes, because they usually get a lot of euphemisms in there because like they have to make it for TV. Like they just didn't give a fuck here, and they were like,
right,
these are the peanuts and these are the balls. Yes.
So the other thing I want to mention is that the faces of these four guys during this challenge is so priceless. They're like, the faces are literally like, it's so good. And there's even at one point, when one of them goes in, I think, who's the first one? Is it the bearded? The bearded queen goes in, and then someone's like, okay, who's next? And you see Maraca and Miss Mexico, and they both, at the same time, they both go like to the other one, like you. Like it's really funny. So anyway,
also like we talked about the last episode about Gala not talking about how we didn't know like the reasons behind it. We didn't know if it was like a statement or like something like that. So apparently Gala just said like, oh, my dick is too big, so I don't talk. Okay.
Well, Matraca has something. Yeah, Matraca has something to say about this, and it's kind of funny.
Matraca's like, she's the least qualified for this, but like, sure, go ahead, teach us how to talk.
Yeah, like, all right, girl, go ahead then, go off.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. So when they tuck, Regina brings her queen out, the like, déjame presentar, I don't know how you say it, like, let me present to you. Joanna Voce is the name they go with. And then they also present, well, first of all, let's say about Joanna Voce, the tuck is great, but then Regina turns her queen around and grabs his ass.
Okay, so I also tweeted about this because it's like, I've noticed before, but this was the episode where I noticed the most. Regina is very touchy.
Oh yeah.
Like not only with her queen this episode, but also like she grabs Matraca's crotch in the lip sync. But it's like it's kind of like apparently it's like her thing. Like she's a very touchy person.
I would hope that she reins that in a little bit because I think it might get her in trouble one day.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Like, I feel like it's probably not in a creepy way. Like it's definitely jokingly and like whatever. But I feel like at some point it might be misconstrued. So
I might be wrong, but I think maybe Cristian was like, "That's your daughter." This takes us to the main stage. Valentina walks in. I thought, oh my god, this shape, like she is cinched. She like it looks like she's got boobs. Like she's very padded out. She looks really good in this like red dress. Lolita walks in this weird orange that she can't walk in. It's very weird. Again, weird walk. Don't get it. Fine. They introduced the guest judge, who is Laura Carmine. Here's what's funny. When they announced her earlier, and when they say her name here, they don't say anything but her name. They're not like singer, actor, activist, actress, nothing. They just say her name. And I find that so strange because I had to look her up and it's like, oh, she's a Puerto Rican actress. Okay, great.
So there's this thing of like queens literally not knowing like who the guest judge is and just being like, oh, yay, that we talked about a few episodes ago that I put the TikTok that I love of like Marina Abramovich. Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this thing of like, I feel like this specific reaction and the fact that they just talked about like, oh, she's so pretty. I feel like they have no idea who she is. Like the queens.
Yeah, probably.
Like
Bob talked about this recently. Bob was like, sometimes on drag, he's like, I didn't say that we hate the judge or whatever, but it's like sometimes you just like clap because you don't know who it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So great, but they do the runway, and this week the runway song is Glamazon by RuPaul. Let's review these looks for Miss Drag Latino America.
So first up, okay, I'm gonna say that there had been challenges in the past where they are also sewing challenges without literally telling them like, oh, this is a sewing challenge. And in the makeover, what happens is that you can bring like things, but you have to like adapt them or whatever. Because some queens have been trying to be like sneaky, like Gigi Good. I don't know if you remember, and they bring like just huge things, huge bulky things, so that they can feed whatever. And they go like, this no. Like you're being sneaky. Like you're not feeding this into anybody, so you did nothing. And for example, remember the dance challenge where they have man have woman in season 7? Mm-hmm. Apparently, they did those looks on the war room, but we never saw that. And this Drag Race Mexico, we have talked about how we don't see anything from the war room, so we didn't see how they created these looks. But some queens had something, and some queens made something. But first up, here is Cristian and Gaby Peralta, Transformistas Oficiales.
So Cristian did mention that she brought this dress.
She brought one with sleeves, and then she gave kind of like the sleeves to Gaby and created something, completed the look based on the sleeves. So I feel like that's pretty creative. And I like this look, and I like this makeup, and I like the wigs, and I like everything. I just feel like this is very expected from Cristian. And I know that the theme apparently was beauty queens, but this is very simple for me.
I feel the same way. I think this is really simple, but because, like you said, because the theme is beauty queens, I don't feel like you can do much with that other than just have a simple
But I feel
whatever.
like other queens did a little bit more.
Well, fine, that's great. But like, yeah, I think that simple in this challenge isn't necessarily bad. It's just kind of like, yeah, I guess this is what we're gonna do. I will say that when Gabby comes out on the runway, do you know what I'm gonna say here?
Yeah, I guess.
I was not very happy because they refer to her as one of my drag names that my friend Shane Gallarde, illustrator extraordinaire, that he gave to me because he was like, "What are those?" He's like, "What's that pan dulce that you love that you like always want to eat?" And I was like, "Oh, conchas." And he's like, "Oh, well, that should be your drag." He's like, "Why aren't you Conchita Best?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, filing it away. I love it. That's mine."
And they didn't
And
just give it to any queen; they did it to the queen you didn't like.
Thank you.
That's incredible.
Not a fan.
Okay.
Again, this is Cristian. I don't want to talk about Gabby. Cristian looks beautiful. It is very simple. I wish the hair was a tiny bit bigger, but whatever. It's okay.
I feel like this is the flattest wig she has ever worn on the show
Yeah.
so far. All right. So next up we have Galavaro and Dalivaro. And what I noticed here is that yes, Gala said that she brought the blue dress, okay? And that she kind of like took something from the blue dress to give to Dali. Do you recognize what Dali is wearing that is not blue?
Her like corset section thing,
the butterfly look.
Is that what it's from?
Yes, it's literally that.
Ah,
I know.
okay.
So I love. So a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, you know who you are. If I don't cut this, asked me the other day, like why like these like finale runways are so before the actual live finale, like the last episode runways are so disappointing. And I told him like, well, because in the earlier seasons, they will literally run out of clothes. You know,
yeah.
By the end of the, so they would be like, okay, I'm keeping this, but no, I have to wear it, like, and then they will try to put something together.
This is my favorite, usually my favorite part of the season, because you start to see all of the queens swapping wigs. You get like Gottmik and Candy Muse started swapping wigs toward the end, very much so.
That's why everybody stole Ariel Versace's wigs.
Yeah,
because imagine how, like no matter if you get all the prompts, like there's a point where you're like, oh my god, I already wore this. Like you cannot have 1,000 wigs for like every episode.
But so, like what? Like if it were me, just if it were me and I was there and I had all these wigs, whatever. Halfway through the season, I would take all the wigs I already wore, and if they let you, I would take them to my hotel room and just restyle them in a different style.
Well, but not every queen knows how to style a wig.
Well, guess what? Girl, learn. You're on Drag Race.
I know, but that's like saying like learn how to sew. They should
learn how to sew. You're on Drag Race.
But like it doesn't happen. Anyway, I love this idea of like being so creative, of being like, well, I ran out of clothes and I only brought this one, so I'm gonna split it, and I'm gonna split this one that I already wore, and nobody said anything on the runway, so
yeah, I think it looks really nice. I'm
sorry, but the true winner of this challenge is not even Gala; it's specifically that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that I think something that Gala did that was very smart, that I'm not sure, maybe Cristian a little bit, but I think Gala actually did this better, was the wig that she wore is a little bit more maternal, I guess. Mm-hmm. So that's getting across the point that not only are these just like beauty queens.
No, it's my drag daughter.
But this is my drag daughter. You don't get that from a couple of the other girls.
This one is giving me, and that wasn't themed around like beauty queens or anything, but they did that because it's Brooklyn. but this one is giving me Brooklyn and Plastic in the makeover where Brooklyn made over Plastic. Because it was like, we're both pageant queens, but I'm gonna be the more mature one, and you're gonna be my daughter. You know, like, yeah, I feel like this one is the more drag racy makeup.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Sure.
Next up, we have Matraca and Maraca, and apparently these outfits were made completely on the workroom in the workroom, and I feel like you can tell because they look great, but I feel like it's not a very complex look to put together. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, draping and something in the middle, and it looks good.
I still think it's beautiful. Like, I agree. I agree with everything you said.
I think she looks great, and I feel like out of the ones who kind of like made something from, no, I actually feel like she's the only one who made something from scratch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably because everybody else had at least one gown that is very pageanty, and Matraca doesn't, you know?
So my thoughts in regards to this pair, I don't know how you'll feel about this, but I feel like we said, we're at the point in the season where they got to rewear stuff, they got to like exchange stuff, whatever. I feel like Matraca has worn this wig several times, right?
Oh,
this long,
100%. Yes, it is.
And I'm not saying
I feel like
that's
her, one of her signature hairs, actually.
Right. So I'm saying that's fine. Because that is one of her like signature looks. The only thing I wish was different is that I wish she had swapped wigs with her queen. Okay. Because then her queen would have looked, if I had seen her queen in like that
mini
wig,
Matraca,
I would have gone, oh, this is Matraca's drag daughter. Okay. Yeah. And then Matraca would have worn like a more, maternal kind of wavy, whatever. That's the only thing I wish was different. Because I think it would have gotten that point across a little bit better. Yeah.
All right. And next up, we have Regina and Joanna. And so it's crazy here because, okay, I like, also, did you notice whose earrings are those?
I was just going to say, speaking of reusing, exchanging, and wearing things, she is wearing Matraca's earrings.
We forgot to mention that in earlier seasons of Drag Race, that the thing, like, you would see Tyra Sanchez wore the same shoes every single challenge. Latrice wore the same boots, and freaking Jocelyn Fox with that fucking necklace that she wore the entire season. I like this idea of being like a Mexican beauty queen with just like Mexican accessories, headpiece, and everything, but everything black. We know that it was because that's the dress that she brought. But I like the idea. The thing that I don't like, first off, this bathing suit, I'm pretty sure that she mentioned that she did from scratch. Out of like, okay, let's find a material that is similar to the gown that I already have. And I like the idea that she said that, oh, this is the nightgown and this is the bathing suit for like the bathing suit part of the competition, you know? To me, that makes sense. But what I didn't like is that, didn't they said like, oh, your girl is padded, that's great, and then she shows up not padded,
right,
just to show off her ass? But you can show your ass, not your real ass, but you can show your ass padded.
I don't understand this because her body looks great padded, right? So what this says to me is that she made a bathing suit for her,
didn't fit with the pads.
Yes. And then was like, well, shit, okay, I guess we can't pad you because otherwise we won't be able to wear this.
Yeah.
And I think it was easier for her to make this swimsuit than a beautiful gown.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that to me is the excuse. It's like, oh, well, I wanted to do like a bathing suit because that's part of a pageant. No, girl, you made a bathing suit. You needed to come up with an excuse. Again, I'm not like saying like, oh, poor Regina. Like, that's just something that happens on Drag Race. It happens and you're like, oh shit, well, this reminded me of art school. Like, okay, well, how do I justify this piece that I just made, right? And that's fine. But
I mean, out of justifying a look that you have came after a long night of cooking, Trey didn't like the session.
Sure.
But that is just the justification for whatever it is that you're wearing.
But I feel like this queen has a somewhat stiff walk.
Oh, I was like, is your like, is your talk bothered? Because it felt like almost like her talk was getting in the way of her being able to cross the legs while walking. You know what I mean? It was like, oh God, I'm tucked.
I feel like had they done a gown, it would have helped cover up some of this awkward walk. But
or just like,
whatever.
if you know how to make a bathing suit but not a gown, give her the gown and you wear the bathing suit.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
come up with a story reason for why. That's what helped Cristian was having this like little shaver and being like, if you don't pay, if you're not, don't, si no te like portes bien or whatever you say, I don't know how you say that in English, then I'm gonna shave your face. You know, like fine. Anyway, this is what it is.
Yes.
So, do you have a cheetah of the week?
Yes, I do.
Who is your cheetah of the week?
My cheetahs of the week, because I'm just gonna name both of them, but we all know who it is actually. So my cheetah of the week is our Galavaro and Dalibaro.
I was going to say that my cheetah of the week is Dalibaro.
Yes, absolutely.
not that.
I mean, I have to mention the creator.
Sure. So, like, yeah, she can be in there too. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I do think that the color, that blue color that Gala chose, was nice. You know what? I'm gonna give it to Gala too, because I love that she wore that wig. It helped tell the story that she was the mom, and the drag daughter was her drag. So yeah, both of them I think deserve that. Do you have a Churpia?
So my Churpia specifically, this one is gonna be specific because my Churpia specifically is Joanna Bocci. Sorry, girl.
Yeah. Can I say that my Churpia is Gabby Peralta just because she didn't shape her beard?
Yes, come on, that's valid.
I love a bearded queen.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not if it's not because you're an art director and you need it for your job. Give me a break. No. Nope. No. So anyway, Churpia.
Yes.
All right.
So
well,
some of the critiques were interesting.
Yeah. What do you want to say about them?
No, I mean, so here's the thing. We have talked about in the past, you and I don't think on the show yet, that kind of like the makeover challenge is a blank slate for them to be like, where do we want the story to go? Who do we want
to
in the
fit
finale?
The narrative
exactly.
They want.
And so it's like one day they will be looking for like exact resemblance, and then another day they will be looking for like good outfits, no matter the makeup, and then other day they will be like, oh, the makeup is great, like we don't care about the outfits, and it's just all over the place. And so,
or this is not so literal, so we loved it.
Exactly. And then Valentina said that Regina needed to levantar el evento. And we have heard this so much on La Más Draga because it's a very Mexican drag queen thing to say. But we haven't heard it so far on Drag Race. And levantar el evento is basically, like, I subtitled it in La Más Draga as bring the party. It's kind of like if something is like, the literal meaning would be like if a party is kind of like boring and like not great, that you have to come out and kind of like
raise the energy up in the party or whatever.
So, queens, they will say like, I'm an expert on levantar el evento, or something like that. Or you need to levantar el evento. Because you can also say the opposite, that se les cayó el evento, like the party fell down. Like it just, yeah. So I just love those. And you said that you didn't hear this, but
I didn't hear this. What?
When Lolita was praising Joanna's butt, just like she was talking about Joanna's butt, and she was like, Loloto Banano wanted to come out. So basically, Lolita Banana's dick is called Loloto Banano. So good for her.
Okay. You said you didn't hear this next part. because it wasn't in the episode.
Oh.
But I thought just another pun that would have been
shut up.
perfect. Would have been so perfect for them to say.
Maybe they'll say it in the finale. We don't know.
And considering how prophetic we are,
yes,
I wish that Lolita had said, "Tráiganme mis chicas Lupe." Because it would have been so perfect.
I'm 100% sure that they're gonna say it in the finale.
We'll see.
Yes.
Well, so, they bring the queens back out.
Cristian won.
Plot
her
twist.
Fifth challenge.
I'm over it.
So we're gonna say this before we say anything else, because it is important to mention that we love Cristian, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Cristian is great.
Oh yeah.
She's a great queen. She has been doing great in the competition, and she has deserved some of her wins.
Most of
I
her
wouldn't
wins.
say most, but I would say some. I would say, for example, she won the Mi Tierra challenge. Perfect, deserved, the reveal, excellent. Then she won the Rusical. Regina should have won. Then she won Snatch Game. Perfect, deserved, absolutely.
Deserved, absolutely.
Then she won the Roast. Sure, okay. But then she won this Makeover, which is number 5. And Gala should have.
I agree with that. Wait, so what are you talking about? Wait, how many?
3.
4
out of 5.
3 out of 5. 3 out of 5?
Yes.
Who? Cristian should have won 3 out of the 5?
Yes.
The most.
Yes, you were right. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. Not only because Gala did better, because that's my point of this. We're not trying to shade Cristian, because like I said on Twitter, this is not Cristian's fault. She's not the one saying I get to win. No. Like, producers are giving her the win. But this is bad storytelling. Because you're literally doing what we didn't. You're literally doing what we didn't like, what I didn't like, and many people didn't like about the whole Sasha Colby thing. We all love Sasha Colby,
and Jimbo,
We all love Sasha Colby. Some people love Jimbo. That's not the point. The point is, like, sure, they could have won 2 or 3 or maybe 4, not like 1,000. You know what I mean? Like that's my point. And in this case, Gala having another win before the finale makes a storytelling sense.
Yes.
You make things more even.
Yes, I feel like at this point, because we've seen Sasha, because we've seen Jimbo, and even I feel like there was another queen that happened to
in Drag Race France, which we didn't see.
So because of that makes it predictable. Now we feel like the finale isn't as exciting. We feel like we know who's gonna win.
It even hinders the queen herself, because it's like, yes, we all love you, we know you deserve this, but like, we're not excited about you winning,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like sure, imagine if going on the finale, you had Regina with 3 wins, Cristian with 3 wins, and Gala with 2 wins, and Matraca with, I think, 1 win, right? Maybe give her another one that she didn't win. And then you have like, oh, these are all fierce queens. But no, you have Cristian with 5 wins, Matraca with 2, Regina with 1, and Gala with 1. And it's like, no.
I don't like it. I don't like that kind of storytelling.
Yeah, I know.
Especially because, like, if like you said, it's not going to help Cristian, because if she wins, when she wins, we're all going to be like well, it's like that scene in Romeo and Michelle when what's-her-face wins prom queen, and then Michelle's like, duh. Like, we know. It's not exciting. It's not interesting. It's not a surprise. It's not, I don't know. I want one of them to win. And if she does win, I will be shocked. I'll be on the floor. I'll scream, because it doesn't feel like, I feel like I said, we know what's going to happen now. And that's what sucks, is that it's not like Cristian is undeserving of winning.
Absolutely.
She's deserving of winning the season, but to make us feel more invested in the season, to make us feel more like we need to watch the finale, we want to see what happens, then this should not have happened. I don't think.
So we're gonna say who we want to win, who want to win the whole season on 3, right?
Uh-huh. Matraca.
Matraca.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say Miss Vallarta as a joke, but so the lip sync Nico this week is between Matraca, just because they didn't like the ponchos, and just because like
they needed a reason.
I know, because at the end of the day, like Gala, I feel like this is one of those where near the end of the competition, it's like, well, Gala and Cristian did so
I will
good.
say this.
So
I
like,
loved that Maraca was like, let me explain the ponchos to you. Like she was like, no,
yes,
you're not gonna bring my girl Matraca down.
Absolutely.
That's not gonna happen.
I mean, I do feel like they could have been maybe better ponchos, or maybe the reveal could have been more creative, but the ponchos themselves were not the problem. Whatever. So the lip sync is between Matraca and Regina to the song Bombón Asesino by the one and only Ninel Conde.
Is there some sort of feud you need to talk about?
Yes, because here is, we haven't had one in a while. Niurka update. It's not an update, it's just that. So I told you that Niurka had a feud with everyone, but Niurka has a specific feud with someone so big, so old, and it has gone on for so long that there are YouTube compilations of everything that Niurka has said to the, to the reporters and paparazzi and everything specifically about Ninel Conde. So 90% of the Niurka memes, 90% of her famous quotes have come from her feuding with Ninel. So
is that what bailas
was towards Ninel. Me preparo como bailarina y acróbata y como vedette, that's against Ninel. Ella no es una vedette, yo sí, that's against Ninel. All of that, most of her memes are against poor, full of silicone Ninel Conde. And so, actually, speaking of silicone, I'm not just bringing a woman's, surgical procedures out of nowhere. It's because Ninel's signature song is El Bombón Asesino, which is the murderous or the killer marshmallow or the killer, like bimbo. And so Niurka called her once El Silicón Asesino, speaking of her surgical procedures. So Niurka, we never said that Niurka was a saint. We never said that Niurka was a role model. She's very messy. She's very controversial, and but that's one of her things. Like, she critiques her surgeries a lot, her Ninel's surgeries, and she has said like you're young, you don't need all that work that you've done on your face and things like that. She's whatever. And but anyway, that's Ninel Conde, forever tied to her feud with Niurka. And this song, I feel like it's kind of like what you thought of Quítame este hombre del corazón. That I said like, oh, Quítame este hombre del corazón is super sexy and blah blah. And you're like, no, it's like El Bombón Asesino is a song that is supposed to be like, oh yeah, I'm very hot and look at me, I'm very sexy. But it's so stupid and it's so camp and it's so funny that it's basically a comedy song at this point. And I love this lip sync. Honestly, I think they both delivered it.
I think they both did really well, but I do think Matraca, for me, like, wanted a little bit more. She just, like, when you see someone do a lip sync and they're wearing a very long drapey dress, whatever, usually you're like, oh, they're not gonna be able to move. That did not stop her, and she was like throwing that dress all over the place. It was kind of great.
What I loved about the lip sync also was that I love when you haven't seen a queen lip sync for most of the season, and then suddenly they lip sync and they fucking deliver. And I feel like that's what we saw with Regina. Yeah, like, we were like, how is Regina gonna, like, we don't know, because we know that she's a live singer and an actress and whatever, but lip syncing is something else, Like, Trixie's a great performer, a great singer, but like, she cannot lip sync for her life, like literally for her life. And I feel like Regina kind of like wow was by the fact that she did pretty good you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that I really like this lip sync. What did I say? I really like this lip sync. And I feel like that this one, it's actually one of my favorite lip syncs of the season.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can see that. Well, let's do an art moment.
Yes.
All right. Let's do it. We have 2 returning artists with 2 great pieces. The first one is Mai Ketchum, who drew Matraca in her spicy red heart look. Yes. It's really great.
This is giving
the next one.
I was gonna say something stupid. This is giving me like a Pokemon, you know, a Pokemon trainer, like an Elite Four, and then I remember it's Mai Ketchum.
Right. Then we have Muerta Mosca, who drew Galavaro in their denim look, which, you know, is great. This is one of those like Danny Phantom-esque kind of pieces. I love it so much. And then I'm not trying to hawk merchandise here for Matraca, but Matraca showed some of her new merchandise. And the artwork is this piece of her in the Alebrija look. And it's really cool. And I love it. And I want it. And yeah, I'll take that bag. But anyway, that's your art for this week.
Yes.
Well, Chucho, tell the people where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter as Chucho_Q and on Instagram and TikTok and Letterboxd as Chucho_QMP.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky Threads, and TikTok at Terry Blas, and on my website at terryblas.com. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, and as always, respeta tu cultura, maricón. We'll get there.
Mexico
we'll
is the one.
Give me a second.
Mexico.
Don't get ahead. Don't,
okay.
Chucho. Let me host.
Shut up.